but unfortunately, I'm not allowed to swear, so I'm going to be very short.
True story. True story.
You may have seen him under your desk, and there is actually a reason for that. It's because he's a sysadmin and a dungeon master, so he might be fixing something or playing D&D. He's a big fan of Vim, and you're going to find this out very soon. So Matt is going to be talking about the evolution of command line. Give it a hand to Maddie.
There you are. Hello, hello, hello. So, yes, evolution of command line. This isn't even my final form, the evolution of command line. So, that's me, Ghostbeard DM. You can find me, you can tweet at me, you can insult me if you wish. I know where you all work and live. So, what has a command line? Shout out from the audience, what has a command line? What do you think has a command line? This is the audience participation bit. Shout out. What do you think has a command line? So when I wrote this presentation, it was for, I didn't know quite the level of technical expertise in the audience. So the next bit of animation goes like this, and it's everything. It's literally everything in existence that has a microprocessor has a command line. And it's routers and routers and servers and nests and mobiles and smart bulbs and Fitbits and all magical things like that. Robots. Robots have command lines. Lots of them. They're great. That evil thing. Skyboxes. Again, didn't quite know the technical level I was pitching to here, so I'm kind of just going all out. Game Boys. Hacked Game Boys. They have command lines too. They're amazing. And is this going to change? Are you working? Ha! So this is command line. This is our friend. We all know it. We all love it. So what is command line? Very simply put, it's an interface for typing instructions directly into an operating system. You want it to do something, you tell it here. It's wonderful. Also known as CMD, CLI, and shell. So how old is command line? Well, not this old, probably, although I wouldn't put money on it. Realistically, it's been around since the early 70s, but it's not always been around. Before we had command line. Yeah, I know, right? It's a great picture. You type in something old plus modern, and this is what you get as the first hit on Google. It's great. So what came before? Punch cards. Anyone here use punch cards? Anyone? Yeah? Is that one hand at the back? So yeah, punch cards. They were great. They've been around since the time of Ada Lovelace. The very first differential engines ran on punch cards and punch tape. Magnetic tape, of course, is the more recent development. This was, of course, 30s and 40s, and magnetic tape is 50s and 60s. It's what led us to break the Enigma code. It's what put man on the moon. Well, not quite Tom here, but it's what helped put man on the moon. And also, it's what runs AODocs, you know, our lovely file system. 40 years of technology, all before we achieved the microprocessor. And again, it's not behaving itself. So what came after that? What was the 70s? So of course, are you working? Ah, yes. So the Unix shell, we're all familiar with this, hasn't really changed in 45 years. It's very core. It's the same entity it was then as it is now. Of course, its counterpart, DOS, the disk-based operating system. It's an acronym. It's been around for years. It drives the bulk of the Windows core. Funny story about Unix. Unix isn't an acronym. It's actually a shortened form of something that was developed at Bell Labs in the early 70s called Multics, the large area multi-user computer platform. Is what it is, really. So great. It's the 1970s. It's 72. We've got command line. This is brilliant. So what do we do? Well, there's ARPANET, the very first internet. First way to download porn. Of course, coast to coast, educational facilities, various military facilities. This is how we passed files and data around. It's the very first implementation of TCP/IP. In 73, Telnet turned up, a way for two computers to talk to each other. If you needed to do something remotely, this is how you did it. As good in this modern day as it was 40 years ago. Also in 72, IRC. Yes, it's still going. The Internet Relay Chat System. I mean, if you wanted this, you had to either be military, a school with some serious money behind you, or someone with a lot of cash to burn. Most of us were not like that in the 70s. So what about your end users? BBC Micro. Everyone loved the BBC Micro. And of course, its fellows. Commodore 64 with the tape drive. Oh, yeah. ZX Spectrum. Who remembers this? Ah, good, good, good. And its brothers, of course, the ZX Vega, ZX Plus, ZX3, the ZX V2, all mildly horrible. And of course, Amstrad, the CPC 646, Lord Sugar. Yeah, it's 464, 646. It's all just numbers. All of this, of course, Lord Sugar, he gave us this with the built-in tape deck. Is that not a thing of beauty? This was the 80s. Everything ran BASIC, beginner's all-purpose symbolic instruction code. Sort of a hybrid between machine code and command line. You needed one to run the other. And it was all right, but I think we can all be agreed. It's not sexy. And nor is it particularly user-friendly. So, why not stick with command line? Why did we bother evolving? Well, on the plus side, it requires fewer resources. It is concise and powerful. It's expert-friendly. And scripting is amazing. You can do all kinds of wonderful things via automation. And that's good, you know. For our needs, wonderful. But if you're an end user, not so much. It is unintuitive. The commands are not obvious. It's not visually rich. I mean, who wants to look at a blinking green cursor constantly? This is not the Matrix. We don't do that. And it is beginner unfriendly. I mean, certainly I remember from back in the day that a lot of the command line only platforms were very difficult to understand, very difficult to grasp. And if you don't really have much time, you don't exactly feel welcome to pick it up. Thus, in the modern day, how has command line survived? And when you put survive plus GIF into Google, this is what you get. It's amazing. My favorite is the RDJ one in the corner where he just looks intently at you. And if you catch it on the right point of the loop, he whips his sunglasses off in a dramatic fashion. I know, it's great, isn't it? You people should never have agreed to let me talk. So how has it survived? As some of you pointed out, it's the core of everything. But also, if you're using anything with a microprocessor, you can't not have a command line. It's the foundation of every piece of technology we now use. It's been around for 40 years. And we're now at a point where commands are actually universal across every system. Linux hasn't changed in years, runs Unix as exactly the same command set that it did when it first appeared. Lots of flavors, lots of variants, so very pretty. We could take someone from 1973, pluck them in a time machine, bring them here, put them in front of this and go, that's the command line, off you go. And they will be able to do exactly the same thing. Admittedly, not be able to look at the wide range of content online or play audio files or run anything more complex than, say, Doom, but you could use it. I mean, the file browser, a lovely Matrix screensaver. Top, we all know Top. It's everyone's best friend. Anyone who doesn't know, it's a command line-based resource manager to show you what your computer is doing. An MP3 player. But at its core, it's the same set of commands. OS X. We all know and probably love this. So, of course, terminal, it's built-in best friend. And did you know, before OS X 10.0, Apple didn't have a native command line. They didn't feel it was necessary. 10.7, OS X, no, it's OS 7, OS 8, OS 9, didn't support it at all, didn't exist. You could only run it in emulation, and even then it was very flaky. As of 10.0, a bash shell was introduced, but it used Apple-owned syntax. It wasn't until 10.4 that they actually standardized it to the Unix core command set. Fun bit of trivia. Of course, iTerm, which is the evolution of command line, the true actual evolution of the terminal. It's quite a good platform. Also running Top. Studio Ghibli poster in the background, just because. Windows. Windows has been the core of half the world for 30 years. Initially, it ran DOS, the disk-based operating system. We all know DOS, we all love DOS, 16 characters, can't really handle spaces, no idea how to function with a wildcard. Kind of sucked. It's a wonderful thing. About 8 years ago, Microsoft went, all right, yeah, we need to upgrade this. PowerShell was born. PowerShell was their attempt to emulate the power of the command line. You could do scripting, you could do massive batch constructs. You had varying levels of permission. You could handle 32 and 64-bit character names. Great! But the syntax is wildly unfriendly, harking back to the days of BASIC, where it was a mission just to try and do anything. You spent more time sat reading a manual and swearing profusely than you did actually scripting. It's awful. However, last year, a revelation. Guess who got Bash? A native Ubuntu command line now runs in Windows 10. The same core commands that you can use in Linux and OS X now work in Windows across the entire file system. You want to install Brew? You can install Brew. You want to install, say, any of our standard development tools? You can. They might not work well, but you can install them, by God. I, for one, huge fan that this is now in Windows. Makes my life infinitely easier. Plus, it now means you can do all manner of fun scripting things, and they actually work. So here's a fourth thing that most of you probably never have seen. It's called OpenVMS. This is 8.4, as was released August last year. It's lovely, isn't it? It was created by HP to run on their server platforms. It's proprietary, but at its heart runs Unix. This command line here is the same command line, uses the same commands, the same bash technology as everything else before it. If you can work in the others, you can work here. Yes, this is a wildly horrible thing to look at. Yes, this should never have been made. But it still uses the same core technology. The command line is our friend, and this proves it. I've played with one. I didn't like it, but I could navigate through the file system, remove a folder, compress another, ship it out. And it worked. Shouldn't, but it did. So, let's have a little demo. This is Hal. Hal is my computer. He's mildly evil, but, you know, when somebody does some, they've all gone sentient. So, I'm sure we all know what this is. WC, word count. The switch W meaning show me words. If I did it without a switch, it would give me everything and would be wildly useless. So the document I want to look at is a document that I dredged up called refit instructions. Using WC space dash W, it tells me the word count. Now, I know the word poo is written in the document 42 times, and that's all the document contains. But it tells me. It means I don't need to install an edit. It means I don't need to muck around. It just works. It's lovely. This is a personal favorite of mine, RM. I can do all kinds of good things with this if I'm targeting in a folder. -rf says recursive force. Remove it, don't worry about permissions, just get on with it. And star, of course, is the wildcard. It does everything. And if you queue this up properly, it does amazing things for you. It gets rid of so much rubbish. Yeah, I forgot if you do that at root level, it does that. I'm sure we all heard about GitLab last month, how they went down. Because a junior sysadmin accidentally ran rf star on the root level of their master server and erased 90% of everything. I believe that young man is now wildly out of a job. And more importantly, a senior sysadmin let him. So, you know, it's a worrying thing. Telnet. Did you know you can watch movies in Telnet if someone encodes them? 20th century text. I think you'll know this movie. I think you might recognize this. You can watch the entirety of Star Wars that someone has coded as ASCII in Telnet. It's great. I've watched it. It was an hour and a half of my life that I will never get back. So what else can I do? I can script. Of course, as a grown-up, I use Nano. None of this VI or Vim nonsense. It's Nano all the way. This is, in fact, how we build your computers if they pass through the London office. We use scripts to do it. This one builds your user IDs and your accounts. So prime the script, queue it up with the right permissions, and off we go. So I've got a new user, Jarvis. Yeah, OK. And what's Jarvis's short name? Name of his home folder. Well, yeah, that'll do. And I need to give Jarvis a user ID. Well, I want him as a standard user. So let's give him ID 20. There he is. There's Jarvis. Now, imagine I have to do that for 40 machines. I'm not sat there doing this manually on every machine. I'm queuing up one script and saying, off you go. And it's amazing. But we also use it to build your applications. So again, in the grown-up editor of choice, This is the core list of applications we install when you pass through London. And we will often make use of the Cask installer that comes as part of Brew, Homebrew for Mac. So there we go. Off it goes. It goes and installs BatCHmod for us. It goes and installs Chrome Remote Desktop. Oh, that's big. CyberDuck, Coconut Battery, Text Wrangler. Oh, wait, no. Slack, Skype, and Item are already installed. That's fine. Just skip over them. Keep going. Off you go. VLC. And done. When we build computers, we don't sit and download and install everything manually. I queue up half a dozen scripts and say, off you go. That's how quickly we turn things around. And it's a wonderful system. So what does command line teach us? It allows a command to be run several times in rapid succession. Ultimately, it means we don't become click monkeys sat there hammering on the keyboard like with something out of Space Odyssey. It means we can leverage the power of the computer to do a horrifically dull but ridiculously complex task. There is beauty in the simplicity of it. Command line is a wonderfully simple thing. It hasn't changed in 40 years. It's true, it hasn't changed at its core in 40 years. It's lovely. Anything with a command line can be hacked or jailbroken. This is a personal mantra of mine. If I own it, if it has a processor and I can get to its command line, you'd be damn sure I'm going to hack this. Just because I can. Everyone loves a challenge. And just because it's old doesn't mean it's outdated. A thing we could apply to so many people. At this point, I'm looking at Grant at the back of the room. It's all right, you're very welcome. But it's true. It is old, but it hasn't changed. You learn the core commands once, and you can apply the knowledge anywhere. Learning resources. You want to learn more in a weekend? Lovely. You want to be a power user? There you go. If you want to install Windows 10, Bash, you can. There's an instruction guide. Or buy a Raspberry Pi, muck around with it. And if you don't find anything useful, turn it into a Minecraft server. You must have a niece, a nephew, or a kid somewhere that enjoys this sort of thing. Everyone loves Minecraft. Any questions? And the room goes silent.
You said it was wonderful that you could run scripts on. How do you orchestrate that? How do you get the scripts on there in the first place? And do they have dependencies in themselves?
The scripts are part of a package. We keep a repo in GitHub where all I do is I run the first line from the script. It pulls everything down from GitHub, installs its dependencies, so Brew, and then it will trigger all the other installation scripts. So a default set of Brew tools, Cask applications. It will then boot in and say, OK, please choose username, please choose credentials for this computer, please set its host name. It does the rest. I don't need to do a thing. It does. It erases the scripts all by itself. Win. Any other questions? Any more for any more?
What's this nano nonsense thing?
Nano, of course, is the grown-up tool. None of this VI or Vim nonsense. No. Nano all the way. To my dying breath, I will Nano and ZSH, because it's more powerful and slightly better than Bash, and more customizable with a better range of plugins. But Nano. Nano. I think. And we're done.